My weekly Thursday chance to just catch up with all of you, chat about all your money matters, talk about all sorts of things that I've been doing over on the blog, on the YouTube channel and the podcast as well, if we need to. But this is essentially the opportunity for you. If you've got a question, just fire away. But you're also very, very welcome to lurk. Got a few people joining already. Always takes a while for everyone to come along. Do say hello if you're here. We've got Nikki and Anthony over on Instagram. Hey guys, lovely to have you here. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, do just give me a shout, give me a little wave so I know that it's all coming through okay. Hello to the Weekend Bakery as well. So if you guys have got, as I say, any questions about anything money related, do just put it in the comments and I'll see it and I will do my best to answer it. There's plenty that I can talk about as well. Over on the blog this week, I have talked about what is a good credit score. Also a video for that on YouTube. That difference between how do you know when you've got a number exactly what it means? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it excellent? Is it poor? Is there a difference between those things when they actually happen? So we can chat more about that. If you've got questions off the back of that, happy to talk about those. I also got news about Now TV. I'm a big fan of Now TV. I think I've mentioned it on these lives before as well. Because if you already pay for the likes of Sky or Virgin TV, they can be very, 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 very expensive. And Now TV, or Now, they rebranded it, is a lot cheaper. However, there are some changes going on there. They have brought the prices down in some places. In some cases, it might cost you more. So we can talk about that if you want to. And also on YouTube, I've got a video this week about price trackers and price alerts and how to help you get notified when the best prices come along. So we can talk more about those if you want. But of course, any questions you've got, happy to do them. And hello to Dan and Globe Traveller and Grace and Parash over on Instagram. Nice to see you guys there. Big question for you guys this week as well. Obviously, I like to get your questions. But also there was a report this week showing that basically the use of cash, and it's not a surprise from our experiences in the pandemic, but the use of cash has plummeted much, much, much faster than it ever was before. It's already declining, already on our way towards this cashless society, but going even more. In fact, a quarter of transactions are now contactless, but only 1 in 6 are with cash. So my question, and I share this on the community tab as well on YouTube, and a few of you answered that already. Would you miss it if it was gone? How would you feel if cash was to go completely? And let's see, so I've got a good number of you replied. So thank you so much if you did respond to that survey. 63% said they'd like to have the choice of using cash. Only 37% said they'd like to go fully digital. So let me know, what's your thought on cash and cards? Do you like cash? Do you want to make sure it stays around in some form? Do you find it quite useful for budgeting and stuff like that? Or are you cards all the way? Or would you even like to go fully digital? Get rid of cards, just have your phone so you can tap and pay. So let me know that. Say hello and let me know that information. Hello to Marco, Terry and Financiel over on Instagram. And I've got some questions coming through over on YouTube. So what's the first one? Trevor says, hi, what are my thoughts on premium bonds? So premium bonds, really interesting one. I've become a fan of them because interest rates have been so low for savings. And with the news that inflation this week is now at 2.1%, it means there's pretty much just one savings account out there which actually beats the inflation rate. So all your money in savings is losing money in lots of ways. So premium bonds become quite appealing in that if rates are so low, you may as well take a bit of a punt. Now, there are levels of this. A money saving expert has a really clever calculator which works out how much money you have in premium bonds and what the expected rate of luck would be, what you would hope your prize rate to be over a year. So you can then compare it to what you might get in an interest account. And it works out that roughly, I think, I can't remember the top of my head right now, but I think it's something around, if you have 5 grand, you'd hope you'd kind of match up with what you'd get in the best paying easy access account of 0.5%. And obviously, if you've got your money in the Virgin Money M Plus account, which gives you 2.02% on the first grand you have saved there, or if you have it in a regular saver paying 1%, then that's obviously going to knock that out of the park and much, much better than premium bonds. But the more money you have in there, the greater your chance of winning. You might get closer and closer to 1%, and you might, very, very small chance that you might win £1 million. So I guess it comes down to your appetite for risk. If you're not worried about potentially losing out on 20, 30 quid a year in interest, which you might get guaranteed in one of the other kind of savings accounts, and you're happy to risk it, then it's kind of like a worth a punt, I suppose. It's really up to you. But oh yeah, at the moment I've got money in there while interest rates are so low. That's what I'm giving a go. Let's got a question pop through. I want to get it on Instagram before this because they go quite fast. Marco says, Andy, a quick one. Is it better, Barclays Rewards card or Halifax Clarity card? So this is around spending overseas. These are both cards which don't charge you to spend overseas. The Barclays card reward credit card is, in my view, slightly better because you get cash back, 0.25% on all your spending at home and abroad. So it wins on that point. It's a really good backup to any American Express cards you might have. And also, there's no interest charged on cash withdrawals from your card abroad. With the Halifax one, it's a great card if you got it. There's no necessary reason to change away from it if you're going overseas. But if you do use it to get cash out overseas, you will get charged interest. So you want to pay that quite quickly. Hello to Abdullah. Nikki has said, definitely use cards rather than cash. Cannot remember when I last used hard cash, particularly with the last year, right? I mean, chances of using it be much, much diminished because we're not out and about, but absolutely. Grace Player said, love to go fully digital. Find it so much easier to control my spending. Some great apps then. If you've got questions about that, I'm happy to talk about those in a bit. Hi to FS. Terry says, not a fan of cash. I find it gets spent on stuff. And as it's usually laying around in loose change around the house. Do you know what? I got some money out at the start of the pandemic, so 18 months ago, and it's still in my wallet. I haven't used it. I got it out in case I needed it. And it's just sat there. And I generally find that I don't use it. It just stays in my wallet unless I have to. But everyone's different, obviously. Hi to Penny Pinchin Mank. Hi to Wan. Hi to George. Hi to Frugal Kate. Thank you very much, Marco, for appreciate the answer. Right, back to some of these YouTube guy ones. Andrew says, evening Andy, love the video on credit scores. Are you still a fan of Amex for everyday spending? Yes, I am. I know if you're a regular watcher of these lives, then you'll know that I am going to do an update at some point. I'm just giving it a bit of time just to see if any more changes come along. But the American Express Platinum Cashback Credit Card and the American Express Platinum Everyday Cashback Credit Card, I think I've got those words in the right order. It's a long title. Their cashback rates are going to drop from next month. And that means you will get less money from them. But you're still going to get more money from them than you would with a non-American Express. Now, potentially you might be able to get more with a different American Express, and that's what I'll look at that video, probably I would say, end of this month, start of next month, once we know that other changes aren't coming along. But absolutely, I think American Express is one of the best ways you can pay, as long as you manage it responsibly. I'm going to say, look, I know this is boring, right? You know this already, I'm sure, because you're a savvy bunch, but cashback credit cards, reward credit cards, they're only any good if you completely clear them every month and don't get charged interest. So it's really, really important, because if you do, the interest you get charged is going to be, what, 20, 30%, who knows, depending on the card, will wipe out the 0.7%, the 0.8% you get on your card. So that's really, really important. Andrew's also added, I definitely wouldn't miss cash. I never use it now. Benjamin has said, is there a good way to start building a credit score once people finish university? So, yeah, this is an important thing. I've had so many questions come through recently from people who are just finishing school or in that kind of sort of 18, 19, 20-year-old bracket, worried about getting their first credit card. And this is really interesting because I don't know whether something's happened in the last year because I wasn't getting these questions previously, or whether it's just they're coming to me with these questions and they were going to someone else before. But this is something really, really important to think about here. And again, I reiterate what I just said just now about cashback credit cards. It's true for all credit cards. If you are wanting to get a credit card, it can have some really good uses, such as building your credit score. But you've got to be really confident that you can manage it properly. Okay, so really, really confident that only using it for regular spending, things you would do anyway. I kind of suggest it's your supermarket shopping, or if you're driving, it's your petrol, or if you're regularly getting the train, it's your train ticket. Stuff that you are spending normally, you're not spending more than you possibly would because it's on a credit card, and then you clear it in that month so you don't get charged interest. That, after sort of 3 to 6 months, does start to appear and improve your credit score, and it demonstrates that you've got a relationship with credit. So you might want to look at getting a credit building credit card for that. People ask me what's the best one. As I always say, the best one is the one you're most likely to get accepted for. It doesn't really matter because you're not looking for these extra features like cashback or whatever else it might be, or balance transfers. You just want one where you can spend on it, clear it, spend on it, clear on it. Other things you can do, obviously, registering to vote is really important. Wherever you live, get on the electoral roll. That will help signify that you are who you say you are, and that's really important for your credit report. But also things like a mobile phone contract. If you move into premises and you're getting a new energy firm in there for your gas and electricity, again, that being paid by direct debit, that will make a difference as well. There are some other services. I will look into this sort of shortly because so many people are asking about it. But there are potentially ways if you're renting as well, that some landlords, not all of them, you can get that payment added onto your credit report as well. Again, demonstrating that you're making regular payments all the time. What else we've got here? So hi to Deals. Globe Traveller, looking for a global bank account. What do you think of the HSBC Advantage or another bank? What do you mean by global bank account? Is this something you want one where there is a bank in all those countries and you get those benefits, or do you just want one that's good for you when you're traveling? If you want one that's not going to charge you overseas, then you want to go, I think, for the Starling account, because it's free. It won't cost you anything to get this one. It's very, very simple, but it has a fantastic app, so it's good for your everyday banking. But when you spend abroad, then you don't get charged anything at all. So talked earlier on about the different Halifax Clarity and the Barclays Card Reward cards. They're great as well, but if you want a bank account, I would look at Starling. You can also add in Euro accounts to that as well. And I think they're bringing a dollar account. Could be charges to those ones, but certainly I think I would go for one of those. Deals has asked, is the Nectar Amex good to keep? Thinking of switching to cashback ones. The Nectar American Express will give you the equivalent of 1% back for every pound you spend, but in Nectar points. So if you have a Sainsbury's that you regularly shop at, then that's going to be one of the best ones. It's going to be very hard to beat that 1% unless they change the rate. It only becomes more of an issue if you don't ever go to a Sainsbury's. Or admittedly, you can use it on eBay and Argos and Habitat. But again, that's where that comes into play. Particularly if you are new to American Express and you get that welcome bonus, appreciate you're not doing that because you've already got one. Then you can get really huge amounts because you might get like a £125 bonus or something like that in Nectar points. So you've got to use that. But again, if you're happy to shop at Sainsbury's, it's currently probably one of the better ones out there. David has said, I would like to use cash only for emergencies. And Charlie has said, I still like to use cash for some items, especially for bus fares and car parks. Oh, I hate car parks where you've got to pay by your phone. It's just always a bit of a faff, isn't it? I much rather, okay, you've got to have the cash on you, so you don't always have the cash. Remember you used to have like little roll of pound coins in the glove compartment, didn't you, to kind of pay for your car parking. Now it's phone this number, enter this number here, a bit of a pain. Oh, hate it. Maybe it's got better, I don't know. Hi to Karachi, hi to Enid, hi to KD301. Nikki has said, do you know anything about the best savings accounts? Martin Lewis kind of hinted that tomorrow rates will change, but he couldn't say much about this. I haven't seen that. I don't know where he hinted about this or why he hinted about that. Maybe he's had a heads up about a new savings account coming along. I've not seen anything about that just yet. I've got a whole article over on the blog, which I regularly update. Last updated it yesterday. So if you go to becleverwithyourcash.com and go to the best buys and reviews section, and in fact on the homepage, you'll see it there. It will say best savings accounts, and it will take you through all your different options right now, from the best easy access accounts through to a few fixes and a few regular savers and things like that. I mean, rates do change on a regular basis right now. A few weeks ago, we were talking about, oh, look, they're going up. And the 1 year fix you could get for 1 year at 1%, which was amazing compared to it being sort of 0.5 something a few months ago. Now it's back to 0.9, dropping back down again. I would be surprised. I don't think we're going to see any massive cuts to anything right now, but I don't think we can necessarily see any massive increases just yet, unless someone's really putting some promo money behind it. What else we've got there? FS has said, will using Klarna mess up my credit score, especially when trying to clean up to purchase a house? So I would definitely sort of be careful with Klarna anytime that you guys see that. And in fact, it's getting easier and easier to use that. This is buy now, pay later, where you're often, if you don't know about it, you're generally given the option to pay over maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months, maybe all these different options, right? And it spreads out and it doesn't charge you anything for that period. So it's quite appealing for lots of people. I mean, in some ways, it's no different to, when we got our kitchen done, I paid for that at 0% finance for 12 months because it meant I had that more flexibility in the money I had. I could spread the money out. I could save for it over time rather than borrowing or a more expensive rate. So I'm not saying 0% finance is a bad thing. It can be really good for big expensive things that you want to spread the cost out of. The problem with Klarna in lots of ways is you're getting these smaller things, which generally you don't necessarily need to borrow for, and you get tempted to do it. And particularly with clothes, people might buy loads of different sizes, forget to return them back, or get another one, end up with these payments getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, in terms of how it affects your credit score, this is stuff that's all kind of still in the mix. It definitely can have a negative implication if you mess up. if you manage it properly and you make the payments in time, then it won't be an issue. It's not like a payday loan where just having one would be a bad mark on your credit report. But I would certainly be very careful about getting into any of these pay now, buy later. Buy now, pay later. Pay now, buy later. It doesn't make any sense. Buy now, pay later schemes. We've got a question here on YouTube from Sebastian. How long is best to wait before applying for a second credit card if I've just received one? So there's no solid answer for this for any kind of credit application. It doesn't have to be credit card to credit card. It could be new bank accounts. It could be mobile phone and then your energy direct debit, or a mix of those things. Broadly, if your credit report is on that top end, it's coming up as excellent, good or excellent, then the chances of you getting rejected, even though you've just applied for some form of credit, whichever form it is, are much, much smaller. Now, this is the thing, unless when you go into that comparison site, I always recommend you do a soft eligibility check for credit cards on a comparison site. The Money Saving Expert one is very good, although it's not whole of market, so you might miss some cards, but it's very good in terms of how it presents the information. You might be pre-approved, and if it says you're pre-approved, then it doesn't matter what happens. You've got that credit card, so have a look. That might be there. If not, could be that when the lender looks at your credit report, they make a decision not to give it to you. And obviously they're looking at other information as well, the things you put on the form, any other data they have on you. So there's unless it says pre-approved, there's no guarantee. I would say, why are you looking for a second credit card straight after getting one? Going back to that thing at the beginning, if you need a credit card because you're struggling financially and you can't afford things, then there's probably other steps you need to take rather than just getting that debt, getting that credit straight away, because it will cost you money and it will take you time to get out of that. And it might be better just trying to sort of find out what is the problem. Obviously, everyone's experience is different here. Everyone has different reasons. It might be that you've got a balance transfer credit card, you move some money over, and now you want a cashback credit card so you can earn points as you're spending normal spending. So yeah, it's not necessarily a bad thing to do this straight away, but it's certainly worth, before applying for a second one, just thinking really hard about why you're going for it. Grace has asked, is Monzo still free to use abroad? Yes and no. There are some limits that have been put in place for cash withdrawals, but it's fine for your normal transactions. And also depending on how much you use Monzo, it might be that those limits vary. In fact, taking cash out in the UK, there are also limits put in place now. I've got a whole review of Monzo on YouTube and on the blog where you can get all those details, a bit more information. But broadly, for most people, it's still a decent option. You might not want to change to a different bank. If you haven't got any of them, then I certainly would go for Starling or even Virgin Money, where there are no charges at all for purchases or cash withdrawals. Trevor has said about cash, I hardly ever carry cash anymore. Drew out 50 quid in March and it's still in my wallet. So it's a bit like with my experience, just sits there. And the wallet mostly stays at home too. Just carry your phone and debit card around. Yeah, I if it wasn't for masks, I certainly would be using my phone a lot more for purchases because it's got the facial recognition. When it was a thumbprint, I kind of preferred that in lots of ways. When I used to live in London, get on the tube, tap my thumb on it and pay with my card. And I would do that all the time. I really would. I find the facing a little bit more annoying because it depends where the reader is and you've got to go around to it. Obviously, you can enter the passcode if you want to, but yeah, I'm with you there. Kiana said, I think cash should always be an option, but I haven't used it in about 5 years, apart from things like car parking and small businesses. So car parks, again, coming back as one of these kind of reasons to have cash. And small businesses, yeah, a lot of those ones would be cash only. My hairdresser used to be cash only when I went last time, back down in London again. I was down there a few weeks ago. They got a card machine finally. So they're obviously moving with it. I think we are going to see fewer and fewer of those businesses. In fact, some businesses right now are not accepting cash at all. And it'd be interesting to see whether they revert back the other way and bring cash back into their business when everyone feels more confident with it and things are a bit more back to normal. And to see how that one goes. Sophia says, hi Andy, first time watching live. I prefer cards. However, I do like to have a little money in my purse for emergencies. So Wall3 has got a question. Can you talk about money management apps or spreadsheets that work for you, etc.? So I'm actually going to be doing a review and video on one of these this week. I was trying to work out this morning, do I do all of them at once or do I spend a bit more time looking at one by one? So I'm actually going to do them one by one and do a sort of much more in detail review for the blog and YouTube on these services. But in lots of ways, I think that, not to preempt you watching this content or reading this content, a lot of the time I think the best thing for you is to download a lot of them, connect your account, and see which one you like best, because they've all got different interfaces and different features. But yeah, I will be sharing more information about those soon. But some of the main ones in terms of tracking your money, knowing where it's going, and particularly if you have multiple accounts. Yolt, Snoop, Money Dashboard, Emma, they're the main ones. There's a new one called Quirk, which I haven't had time to properly look at. There's definitely a few options there to give a go to. Mona has said, "Hi Andy, wondering if you have any advice on accounts that let you hold and spend other currencies like US dollars." So I mentioned Starling earlier on. That has or is bringing through a US dollars account. Again, I think there's going to be a charge for it, so you need to sort of work out what that actually might mean for you. Personally, I've got a Wise account. This used to be called TransferWise. And this is because some of my business, particularly the display adverts, if you go to my blog, you'll see adverts every now and again on the page. They pay me in dollars. So I've got a few services that I also then pay for, like the email service I use to send out my weekly newsletter. That is cost me in dollars. So I've got one of these accounts because it lets me have, I've only got dollars and sterling set up, but I can transfer between the two if I want to. There is a fee, but when I looked at this, that was pretty low. It's much lower than all the other options. Now, there could be some other things that have come along, and I haven't got the details on that. But certainly, I would recommend having a look at Wise and see if that one works for you if you are regularly receiving money in different currencies. Most other banks, if you receive money in a different currency, you will be charged to convert it over if they accept them at all. So you kind of want to avoid that because that's going to be massively expensive. So Karachi has said, "Can you recommend any card which I can use abroad during traveling? Currently I'm with HSBC and they charge quite hefty FX charges." Right, I think I've hopefully already answered that for you. Credit cards, the Barclays Card Reward is the top credit card for that one. 0.25% cash back as well as fee-free spending, or the Starling current account is your best bet at home. There's also an option for a couple of cards. One's called Curve. If you don't want to faff around with getting extra accounts, Curve is quite good. It fronts your other cards and reduces those FX fees. It's not perfect though, so again, I've got a review that you can watch or read for more information on that. Nikki said the morning show, this morning show. Oh right, he said it on This Morning. Okay, I'll look into that. It's talking about changes to savings accounts. He might have been talking about a specific account there. We'll find out. Hello to Rachel who's joined us, and Mum on the Run, and the Bank Engine, and Ranjan, and Kelvin, and Katrina, and Viles. Again, vast, if you're just joining me, by the way, a few people tell me, what do you think about cash? Will you miss it if it goes, or would you actually already on that march to going fully digital, potentially even cardless as well? This is on the back of a report showing that over the pandemic, our use in cash has plummeted massively, and only 1 in 6 transactions now include coins or notes. And FS has said, car parking with cards is such hard work. Talking about how much I hate those ones, definitely. Back to YouTube. So Julian has asked, will England win the Euros? I'm going to go no. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it is coming home. It was, who knows? It's early days. We played one match. Maybe we will. There are all sorts of ridiculous promos out there, aren't there? If England score a goal and England win, trying to get you to, caught up in that and spend money you don't need to spend. Lovely if they do, though. I've got the dates all in my diary for if it happens. A mate of mine's actually going to Wembley on Friday to see the England-Scotland game. So that should be good fun. So Sophia said, "I've got an Amex card due to your suggestions. I'm amazed at how much I'm getting due to my spending." Yeah, I mean, it's easy money. It's passive income. As long as you don't buy things you weren't intending to buy, you're doing your normal spending on it and you clear it, it really can add up. So yeah, definitely worth thinking about, guys, if you want to. Nikki has said, "I applied for 3 credit cards in one day and my credit score is shocking, but I did get both the cards. I'm also shocked I managed to get 18.9% cards too, so something must be going right." Again, yeah, just because you've got a good credit rating, a good credit report, doesn't mean you'll get accepted for cards. And just because you've got a poor or fair credit rating, doesn't mean you'll get rejected for cards. It just means you might get the worst rates and stuff. But remember, okay, if you're getting, Nikki saying, got 18.9% interest, which is better than a 30% interest rate, ideally, you don't want to be paying any interest at all. That's the most important thing to remember here. Avoid paying interest on credit cards. If you can, if you need to borrow, try and look for cheaper ways to do that, cheaper ways to get some more money in selling things, all those kind of stuff to get that income rather than splashing it on the plastic. Hi to Sebi's mum and Happy Light. Happy Light says, "Is it better to drip feed a lump sum, say 5k, into a stocks and shares ISA?" So this is about something called pound cost averaging. This is the idea that if the market, obviously with investing, goes up and down on a daily basis, and sometimes those ups and downs are bigger, or sometimes they're quite small. So it's hard to say. But if you put all your money in on one go, this is the kind of the common sense is to say that if the market was a peak of a market, then you lose money on all of that. But if you put it in and you drip fed it in at different stages in the market, it would kind of average out over time. So that's the logic behind it. I would say, first of all, do think about your savings accounts. Have you got money in there getting the best possible interest rates they can? You obviously could put money into regular savers and things there. And then think about drip feeding it through. Again, it's not something I do a lot of detail on, so maybe to do a bit more research on that. Hi to Chloe from Chloe's Deals Club. If you didn't already, do check out the Cash Chats episode from Tuesday, episode 202, where Chloe and I debate the pros and cons of Amazon Prime ahead of Amazon Prime Day taking place next week. So I was saying Amazon Prime will cost you money. Chloe was saying Amazon Prime will save you money. I'll let you listen to that episode to find out our different sides to our arguments. So Brocker says, would it hurt my credit score if my balance statement closed with 45% utilization if I clear the balance when the payment is due by direct debit? So this is credit utilization's a thing which a lot of people go, what? Huh? What's this? This is how much credit you are using. So how much you've got on your, just say, credit cards compared to how much you can borrow. So let's say you can borrow £1,000 and you have got £300 on there. You have got a credit utilization of 30%. Now, credit reports generally, this is what the credit reference agencies say, and all the different lenders look at things differently, right? But the general, as a guide, as a guidance, they say you want to be having around 20, maybe 30% max of your credit cards used. So if you always use your credit card to the max every month, and you've got 90%, if you were to apply for something, they would go, oh, look, they're really close to their limit. They're obviously desperate for money. And if it's a bit lower, they go, okay, look, they're not desperate. They're just getting this credit for whatever reason. So you do ideally want to keep it around that amount. But it's not the end of the world. These are all kind of good general principles for you, and then become important when you are applying for things, particularly if you're getting something that you urgently need. Now, that could be, say, a balance transfer credit card, which to reduce the cost of your debt, but even more so if it's something like a mortgage. So I think day to day, like, I don't worry about my credit utilization number. There's also sort of contradictory things here about whether it's across all your cards or each individual card. So I've got a lot of different cards over the years, don't use most of them. The one I mainly use is my American Express. That potentially will be much higher. So that one could have a high credit utilization. But when you average it out with the others, the whole thing's quite small. So if you can, try and keep things down to that 30% limit. But again, if you're paying it off every month, that's the most important thing. So you're not getting charged interest. Frugal Kate said, I prefer cards, but my grandparents use cash. I don't think businesses should remove cash completely. And Happy Light said, hell yes, I'll miss cash as well. Hi to Kapana and to Jay Leach and Swooden and Bertie Boo. Loads more questions come through here on YouTube, guys, so don't worry, I will get to them as well. Kakali, hi Andy, no questions today, just moved unpacking with me playing in the background. Thanks for all the great info and the company. Yeah, well, I hope this is entertaining. Congratulations on moving. I hope it's everything goes well. It's always a stressful time when you move house, isn't it? Something that I'm glad that I don't do too often. When I was younger, I was moving, every sort of 12 months. When my tenancy was up renting, I'd move to a different part of London with different mates every year, 18 months, something like that. And it's nice to be a lot more stable now as I've got older. Andre has said, what do you advise money-wise to do before purchasing a house, getting a mortgage? So, oh, wow. Okay, oh my goodness, it's 8:30. There's so much still to go through, guys. Well, I'll try and speed through lots of these as much as I can. I'm really sorry if I've missed these. What I will do, I'll go on for another 15 minutes, actually. I probably can do that if you guys want to stick around, just so I can get through the questions that are already there. So when you're applying for a mortgage, very, 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 very quickly, you kind of really want to be doing your normal spending. Try and be really, really sensible there as much as you can. So it sounds silly, right? But have less takeaways. Do less sort of what you might term as sort of frivolous spending. Really show that, because they will look at your bank statements, the mortgage providers, when they look at things, they'll go through and they're like, what's something, if this person had a change in circumstances, could they really afford their mortgage repayment? So spend some time, just sort of getting your spending down to something that looks sensible if it's already a bit all over the place, right? So that's one thing. I would avoid applying for any kind of credit as well in the next at least 6 months, if not longer, because again, you really want to boost that credit report as much as you can. And do check that credit report. You can do that for free. I have got video on the YouTube channel and articles on the blog showing how you can do that for free. It won't cost you anything at all. Look for any mistakes, look for any errors, anything you can do to try and build that up. But that's just the sort of tip of the iceberg there. Benjamin said, hi there, thank you. Is there a reason you don't include or recommend the Virgin Money home buying coach regular saver in your monthly saving accounts videos, or at least the more recent ones I've watched? No, it could well, it sounds, I don't know that one necessarily. It probably sounds like it's for a very sort of specific reason. I try and keep it as open as possible to accounts that most people can get to. I'll have a look at that though. I will look into it a bit more. Julian said, how are your premium bond winnings? I don't know if I shared last week. What's the date today? Yeah, I would have shared last time, so I didn't win this month, unfortunately. Abdallah has said, hope you are well. Are you happy about restrictions ending in July? Well, let's wait until they happen, shall we, before we get too excited about that. Although I don't know about you. Obviously, there are things we can't do, and really, really feel for people in the industries that have been massively impacted by these restrictions going on for another 4 weeks. But I kind of feel things are pretty normal right now in lots of ways. Being able to sort of travel and see my family is the most important thing, but also going out for a meal is quite nice. Zaim has said, Apple Pay is the way to go. No limit and up to 12 cards. Though I agree with you, Andy, that Face ID can get annoying. I just pull down the mask. Yeah, maybe I should just pull down the mask. Give that option. Tala has asked about the recommended credit card to use when traveling abroad. I've already answered that one, so if you watch again, you'll get the answer to that. Someone else asked that one. Stephen has said, I mostly use the cards, but still use cash if I have it. As a business owner, I prefer cash as much as I can because it's a much lower fee than taking card payments. Yeah, that's really interesting. And that's why sometimes American Express isn't accepted, because it does charge more than Visa and MasterCard, although lots of places do take it. Paul has said, any non-Amex cards that give cash back? Very quickly, Barclays Card Reward. And the next ones are all more store specific. So there's Sainsbury's, John Lewis, M&S and Amazon. Have a look into more detail on those. Again, details on the blog, and also my last credit card update from a few weeks ago on the YouTube channel will take you through the top ones there. Abdallah has asked what the best savings account right now is. Again, if you missed it earlier on, direct you to the blog. We've got that article, the best savings accounts right now with the highest interest ones. The best one obviously depends how much money you've got and things like that, and other things you might already have, but that's got that list there. Rachel has said, my bank has asked me if I want a new card because I haven't used it due to COVID and multiple accounts. Okay, that's interesting. That's a strange one because you haven't used it. Do you want a new card? Wonder what bank that is, Rachel. Abdallah has got a big question. You always got the big questions near the end. I want to save money from now on. Any advice on saving money? I spend more on card than cash. I prefer card, but cash I spend less. It's advice on saving money. I think come in early next time, Abdallah. Ask that one near the top and we can talk about that one in more detail. AK has said, could you do a series of videos about affordable travel to and from London? For example, explaining how Oyster Card works over contactless payment. Yeah, probably a bit niche in terms of, because it's just London, but then a lot of people are in London, but absolutely have a look at that. Top tip, and I think I mentioned this last time, that if you are in London, look for that pink Oyster card reader if you're going not through zone 1 but around the outside, because that will save you a little bit of money on your fare. And also have a look for weekly and daily capping if you're going into town quite a lot. That will hopefully limit what you've got and could work out cheaper than buying a day travel card or a weekly travel card. FH said, would it be possible to do an hour one day on investing for beginners? Again, that's something that probably one might want to get a guest along to help me out with that one and do something in more detail, but I certainly would like to cover that one. So I know a lot of good people who could come along for that. So it's a good shout. Maybe we will do that as a special Q&A. Abdallah, man, your questions. I love that you asked these questions, but this is like, what's the cheapest place to rent in London? I've got no idea. I'm so sorry. There have been lots and lots of reports on this recently. So I think if you do a quick Google, you might find that, because rents have been dropping in London, been going up in other places, but in London they absolutely have been falling. And you will be able to find cheaper places than others. But it's going to be the further out you go, and it's going to be in the ones which are maybe more populated and less sort of nice facilities around. Julian says, my son keeps giving me cash and asking for me to transfer it back to him online. So you're basically the bank desk, aren't you? You're like, here's the money, pay it into my account and transfer it through. That's quite cheeky, unless he's young, in which case it's different. I just imagine he's maybe a little bit older. James has said, hi Andy, I opened a Halifax Reward account for the £5 every month. Thanks for the suggestion. I've got an Amex direct debit going to it, but it doesn't always reach 500. Is there anything else I can do, such as spending more? So we have covered this before. Very quickly, this is the this is the Halifax Reward current account, £5 every month, as long as you do a few different things. You've got to pay a certain amount of money in, but you've also got to spend £500 on your debit card every month. And my trick that I used when it first launched was to pay off your credit card, your cashback credit cards. So you're kind of doubling up on that. You're getting your cash back and then you're using that debit card to pay it off. If you don't have enough money, the trick that I've started using, and I can't remember who told me, but one of the sort of readers gave me the heads up on this. I've also got a Monese account. I've also got a Revolut account, and it works with both of those. They're free to get. In fact, the Monese one, you can make 15 quid for it. If you go to the blog and search Monese, you'll find the special code that you need to use. I can transfer money into this account using my debit card, top it up basically, and then transfer it straight away. So that's really easy. So in fact, I'm doing that now rather than pay off the credit card. Deals has said, I don't use Oyster cards. I prefer Apple Pay or contactless cards. They work out the same as Oyster plus the weekly and daily capping. Absolutely. Bang on there. We're coming to the end now, actually. So Abdallah says, I prefer card, but cash is cheaper for me. Tala has said, any way to get a student NUS card when you're not a student? Oh, this was a classic. When I first started Be Clever With Your Cash back in 2014, this was one of my first things I did. And it was the most popular article for years and years and years and years. I must have helped thousands and thousands of people get a student card when they were no longer proper students, because there used to be a workaround where if you did an online course, you could get access to it. That sadly has ended. If you had a card previously, it's possible to renew it. So that might be an option, but if you haven't got one, it's a lot harder, and you have to, potentially you could sign up to an actual course. If there's something you want to learn, then maybe you could do that, or go to a sort of an evening class college or something like that. A lot of that will be online now, but there will be a cost attached to it. Miles has said, latest iOS software now has the Apple Watch and automatically unlock your phone if you set up that function. Works very well. So it's useful to know if you have an Apple Watch and you want to pay with that. James has come back. Right, okay, yes, fine. Right, I think that's it for everyone, guys. Thank you so much for coming along and joining me today. Packed one, right? Loads to talk about, loads and loads and loads and loads. If you missed anything, obviously you can go back and watch this from the beginning, whether that's on YouTube or on Facebook or on Instagram. I will be back with another one of these next week. And if you want to make sure you don't miss out any of the content that I produce all through the week on all my different channels, the blog, YouTube, Instagram, and the podcast, make sure you sign up to my free newsletter. It comes out every Thursday morning. Head to becleverwithyourcash.com/newsletter. Sign up for free. You also, if you've never used the cashback site Quidco before, you'll get a special exclusive link for a £17 bonus the first time you spend with Quidco. So some free cash as well. Have a lovely weekend, and I will see you guys very, very soon.